So, welcome to Unemployment, Part 1. It's an important topic at AS level. You need to know how to measure unemployment, what the costs of unemployment are, and what the causes are of unemployment, which we'll look at in Part 2. So in Part 1, we're going to look at, first of all, the measurement. There are two key ways of measuring unemployment. First of all, the claimant count. Second, the labour force survey. With the claimant count, we simply measure the people that receive job seekers allowance, and that's been toughened up over the last few decades. So the labour count, the claimant count, tends to be a slightly smaller number than the labour force survey, by about 500,000. Now the labour force survey, this measures those looking for work in the past month who are able to start work immediately. And this tends to be a larger result, but of course being a survey it is subject to sampling error. I should say also that they are also seasonally adjusted, and the difference is about 2% if you look at a percentage of the labour force, or about 500,000. Now both measures have a problem because they ignore what we call the discouraged worker effect. In other words, they ignore workers that would take a job but aren't actively seeking work, who are discouraged from being part of the labour force, and also those that are economically inactive are also ignored. So these two measures are important. There's another key issue that you need to know about are the costs. The costs of unemployment really split into three clear categories. Try not to get them mixed up. We've got economic costs, financial costs, and social costs. And people often get confused between financial and economic costs, but you don't need to be, because you know that economists are very keen on this concept of opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost of unemployment is the loss of potential output. It's a waste of scarce resources having this labour not working, producing goods and services that others could benefit from. So for example, on our production possibility frontier, if we're at point A, okay, we're losing potential output rather than being at B of goods and services. So this loss of output affects the whole economy, and that is an economic loss. Not to be confused with the financial cost. Now, the financial cost to an individual is the loss of net income. Really the difference between what they received in work and what they received probably on job seekers allowance and other benefits they may receive. And for a lot of people that of course will be a loss of net income. It is certainly significant. Now a second financial cost is the cost to the government. And the government will lose tax revenue from the unemployed because the unemployed will stop paying income tax. They will not pay national insurance contributions, nor will their employer, nor will they be spending so much in terms of buying goods and services, so VAT receipts will fall, and of course indirect taxes on goods such as alcohol or tobacco may also fall, unless you think they're going to turn to drink, but I doubt that. We'll come to that with social costs. Just have a little bit of green tea. So, the financial cost of the government are also significant because there's an increased amount of government expenditure on benefits such as the job seekers allowance, but also on other benefits that the unemployed will receive, such as free school meals or housing benefits. So that's the financial cost. And last, but certainly not least, is the social cost of unemployment, which is huge for the individual and for society. And certainly increased unemployment is usually associated with an increase in crime levels, and the two are certainly correlated, especially certain types of property crime. Now just because there's a correlation doesn't necessarily show causation, so you have to be a little bit careful what you write about this. But certainly social costs tend to include increased crime levels, and certainly an increase in inequality, the gap between the top and bottom in society, and relative poverty. Also can lead to problems with families and relationships, as unemployment puts a strain on family relations and can be associated with divorce. And although some people can't afford to get divorced and are unemployed, so it's not always straightforward. Also, you've got physical and mental health problems. The unemployed's life expectancy is lower, and also, of course, in terms of mental health, there's a strong association with clinical depression, and also, sadly, with suicide. You tend to find when unemployment rates increase, suicide rates also increase, and unemployment is perhaps a factor. Also it's associated with problems such as drug addiction and alcoholism, and associated with homelessness. So that's all very cheery, isn't it? And so it's good to avoid unemployment, clearly, because of these very significant costs to the economy, financially, and to society, and to the individual. So, thank you very much.